Recently, I had a client call me. He was all upset. His car just got repossessed and he didn't know what to do about it. I said, slow down. It's okay. You can file a Chapter 13 and get your car back in a day or two. And that's exactly what happened. And I'm attorney Stuart Sandwich, and I'm here to tell you today about some of the benefits of a Chapter 13 case. See, filing bankruptcy is not as bad as people think it is, and there's a lot of benefits, especially in a Chapter 13 case. First benefit is what we call the automatic stay. Now, the automatic stay applies in any bankruptcy case. As soon as somebody files bankruptcy, the minute they file, and I've had it happen in the middle of a hearing in circuit court and so forth, the minute they file, all the proceedings against them are stayed. Creditors can't take any action. They can't do a repossession. They can't collect any money. They can't garnish a bank account and so forth. In this particular case, my client had a car repossessed. We filed a Chapter 13, and 2 days later, the creditor gave back the car. Now, another benefit is beyond the automatic stay. In a Chapter 13 case, there's what's called the Codebtor Stay. Let's say somebody owns a house, they've got a mortgage, and just the husband or just the wife is going to file bankruptcy. Well, under the Codebtor Stay, the co-debtor, the person who owes with that person, that usually is a spouse, they get an automatic stay also, which means that even if the spouse is current on payments or the spouse has got good credit, they're not going to file bankruptcy, they still get the benefit of the stay. We use this a lot of times when during the foreclosure crisis, when one spouse would file and then later, if the case got dismissed, later on the other spouse could file. And it was a way to keep creditors at bay because of what's called the co-debtor stay. Another thing that people can do in a Chapter 13 case is if they're behind on their rent, they can amortize their back rent over a period of 60 months. So let's say somebody was 6 months behind on their rent. They owed, let's use round numbers, $1,000 a month. So they'd owe $6,000. Instead of getting evicted, if you file the Chapter 13 case before the eviction goes to court, then you can take that $6,000, amortize it over 60 months, and pay it at $100 a month and not have to move out of the apartment or the house, wherever it is the person's living. So that's another benefit. The same thing is true with the mortgage. Let's say somebody's behind on their mortgage, $10,000, $20,000. You can take those payments, divide them by 60, and amortize the arrearage. You still have to make the current payments, but you amortize the arrearage over a 60-month period, and you're able to pay it that way and not have to lose the house to foreclosure, not get kicked out, not have your family in the street, and so forth. Another way Chapter 13 is good is it extends deadlines. There's what we call Section 108 of the Bankruptcy Code. And what that does is it allows a person who's involved in a contract or a mortgage redemption to extend the deadline by 60 days. So let's say that somebody's house or building got foreclosed on, and the deadline for the foreclosure is on, say, the 15th of the month. We file bankruptcy on the 15th of the month, and that extends it for another 2 months, gives a person a chance to rehabilitate, refinance, get the money to pay it off so they don't lose their house or their building, their property, and so forth. It also, if you've got a contract, it can extend the deadline for a contract. Let's say, and we had this once, somebody made an agreement. They needed some more time to get the money to live up to their part of the agreement. So we filed a Chapter 13 bankruptcy case, and it got extended by 60 days. They were able to take it, pay, and they used the time to get the money, paid it off, and everything went great. Another great use of a Chapter 13 case is to do what we call lien stripping. Now, I've got separate videos that talk about all these things. Lien stripping is where, let's say somebody's got a car, they got ripped off, and they've got a car that's worth $5,000, and they owe $15,000 on it. As long as 910 days have passed since the date when the person got the car, they can use a Chapter 13 case to write the car down to the value, meaning that you pay just the secured value of the car, the actual value of the car, over 60 months, and the rest of the debt just goes by the wayside as any unsecured debt, like a credit card or medical bill or so forth, and the creditor never gets paid by that. It's a way to get even with all of these loan shark companies that take advantage of people doing high interest car loans for cars that are worth far less than the amount that are owed on them. Another advantage is you can do this with a second mortgage as well. A lot of times people are underwater on their mortgage. They've got a house that's worth, say, $100,000. They've got a first mortgage on it for, say, $105,000. And then they've got a second mortgage for another $50,000 or something. Well, as long as whatever's on the second mortgage that's above the value of the house, above the equity in the house, that can be stripped off with using a Chapter 13 case. The other advantage of a Chapter 13 case is that it can be dismissed. Unlike a Chapter 7 case, which you cannot voluntarily dismiss, in a Chapter 13 case, the debtor can dismiss the case at any time, which means you have to use it strategically when you need this automatic stay, or whether you need the other protections of the bankruptcy court, and when you don't need it anymore, like you've used it to extend the deadline for 60 days, you've paid off whatever it is you needed to pay off, you can dismiss the case and it goes away. You got any questions about a Chapter 13 or the benefits of a Chapter 13, please feel free to give me a call, shoot me an email, and I will be glad to answer your questions.